Hello guys, welcome to the Car Clips channel. In today's video I will show you and talk about the history of the cars appeared in the Stranger Things series. These cars are not only iconic but absolutely reflects that 80s atmosphere and also helps and supplement their characters and kinda represent them too. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite, but now let's get started. The first car of the list is Joyce Byers' 76 Ford Pinto, which is the most devastating one. This reflects very well its character Joyce, who is a lower middle class mother who is raising her 2 kids by herself. The story of the Pinto dates back to the oil crisis when gas prices were skyrocketed, so there was a huge demand for small compact cars like this. Although there was a problem with this car cause the fuel tank was behind the rear axle, so it could easily caught on fire when it was rear-ended. Despite the deaths caused by this, Ford decided to not to fix it with a recall because it was cheaper to them to pay the compensations for the accidents than make a huge recall. The second car is Joyce's son's Ford LTD. As I said, this car belongs to Jonathan Byers, and it fits his character very well. The Ford LTD was a typical American family car in the 70s and early 80s. It was not a sporty or expensive car, but it was strong, big, and practical. This reflects Jonathan's life because he is not living a rich or easy lifestyle either. The LTD was known for being comfortable and good for long drives, which makes sense because Jonathan often has to travel for his family. The Ford LTD name actually stands for Luxury Trim Decor, even though it was still made for normal middle-class families. This was one of the last cars before the crisis, so it has a big V8, even though it was still simple compared to European cars like BMW. The design of the Ford LTD was very boxy, which was typical for American cars of that era. This boxy and classic look fits perfectly into the small-town Hawkins atmosphere. The car also shows that Jonathan values responsibility more than style or popularity. He does not care about looking cool like Steve or Billy. He just needs something reliable. The car also shows the realistic side of the show because this type of vehicle was extremely common in small towns. The following car is one of the most iconic cars in the whole series, because Hopper is basically the main adult hero of Hawkins. The Chevrolet Blazer was a very popular SUV in the late 70s and 80s. It was known for being tough, reliable, and good for rough roads. This matches Hopper's personality because he is also rough and stubborn like the Blazer. It was also often used by police departments and rural workers because it could handle almost any situation because of its V8 and lockable differential. Also, the Blazer helped to create the SUV culture in America, and it became a classic off-road vehicle. In Stranger Things, Hopper's Blazer feels like a symbol of protection because he is always trying to save the kids, and every time we see it, we know Hopper is about to take action. The third car is probably the coolest looking one, fitting its owner Billy, the typical American bully, perfectly. The Camaro is a classic American muscle car, and it represents power, speed, and aggression. Billy's personality is exactly like that, loud, dangerous, and always trying to dominate. The 1979 Camaro is part of the second generation, which had a long hood and a very low and sporty design. In the late 70s and early 80s, the Camaro was a dream car for many young men. This generation of Camaro became extremely popular and is still loved by collectors today. In Stranger Things, Billy's Camaro is also a warning sign because when you see it, you know trouble is coming. The BMW that Harrington drives shows that he comes from a rich family. In the 80s, owning a BMW was a huge status symbol, especially in a small town like Hawkins. The BMW 7 Series was a luxury car that was made for comfort, style, and high-class people. This fits Steve's character in the beginning because he is the popular guy who thinks he is better than everyone. The car looks clean, modern, and expensive compared to most American cars in the show. At that time, the 7 Series was BMW's brand new top luxury model that started the competition with Mercedes. It also shows how different Steve's life is compared to the Byers family. Later in the series, Steve becomes more friendly and nicer. The Volkswagen Vanagon, or T3, was very popular in the 80s, especially for road trips, surfers, and young people. It was not fast, but it was spacious, practical, and perfect for a group of friends. This fits Argyle's personality because he is relaxed, funny, and always chill. It's a typical hippie van, and this was the third generation of the Volkswagen Transporter, and it was known for being very durable. In Stranger Things, this van becomes extremely important because it helps the group travel and escape. It also gives the show that classic 80s road trip feeling. Last but not least, Barb's VW Golf. His car is a perfect example of an iconic 80s convertible. It was very popular because it looked stylish, but it was also more affordable than other convertibles. The car also gives a good vibe of her and Nancy hanging out together. The VW Cabriolet is sometimes called the Rabbit convertible in the US because it is based on the VW Golf / Rabbit. In the late 80s, this car became a symbol of young people who wanted something cool but still practical. As a bonus, I have to mention the Hummer H1, or Humvee. This car appeared in the last 5th season of Stranger Things, although it was only introduced in 1983 and used mainly from the early 90s, still appeared in the mid-80s Hawkins. This vehicle is very different from the others because it looks much more modern and military-like. The Humvee, which was the nickname of the high-mobility multi-purpose wheeled vehicle used by the US Army, became famous after being used in military operations, and people started seeing it as a symbol of power and toughness. Later, a civilian version was created, and the first one was called the Hummer H1. One of the biggest reasons the Hummer became popular was Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he pushed for a street legal version and promoted it heavily. The early H1s had a 6.5-liter diesel V8 that did a ridiculous 150 horsepower. Later it was capable of a much nicer 300 horsepower and 520 Newton meters of torque. The Hummer was known for being extremely wide, heavy, and capable off-road, but also for having terrible fuel economy. Compared to the older 70s and 80s cars, it feels like a sign that a new era is coming. In the series, it also gives a strong government and military vibe, which fits the darker tone of the last season. Overall, the Hummer shows that Hawkins is no longer a normal small town, but part of something much bigger and more dangerous. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If yes, please give it a like or a subscribe. And I'm also curious about your opinion too, so be free to write it down in the comments. Thank you for watching and see you all. Bye.